Hello everyone and welcome back to Astra 49 reads Long Live the Pumpkin Queen, picking back up on chapter 17. I do hope you are enjoying the narration by yours truly so far. Please bear with me, as I'm not exactly well versed in literature. I do hope you enjoy. Please leave a like, share, comment, subscribe, all the fun stuff that YouTube requires of you. In the comment down below, please leave a comment. Let me know what you think so far. Picking back up. Halloween Town is quiet, the wrong kind of quiet. The dark corners and shadowed alleys where grim, monstrous things usually lurk have all gone still. Dead leaves thump in my chest, beating in my ears, and I move quietly through the cemetery. For a moment, I think the Sandman is gone, traveling to the other holiday towns, or still making his way through the human world. But as I creep closer through the shadows at the outer edge of town, I hear it. A low, humming coon? A whispered lull like water and wood smoke coiled creeping into my ears. The Sandman is here, searching for me. A chill travels down my seams, landing in my toes. He's looking for me, hunting me. Wait, has he been here this whole time? How long does Dream Sand last? Questions for later. But I have come back in search of him. I can't tell where he is, his voice echoing over rooftops, so I keep to the dark shadows, sprinting from one to another like a spider, afraid, afraid of daylight. Now that I know the truth, that I was born in Dreamtown, I know the dream sand won't work on me, but I also don't know how deep his cruelty runs. If he discovers me and realizes he he's unable to put me to sleep, or other awful cold-blooded things. What other awful cold-blooded things might he do? Maybe he'll rip me apart at the seams, stitch by stitch, until I'm only a pile of dead leaves and shredded fabric, nothing left to put back together. So I stay hidden, carefully tiptoeing through the dark. I make my way to the garden behind Dr. Finkelstein's lab, where I quickly gather the herbs I'll need. Deadly nightshade, black valent root, foxglove, and a pinch of corpse flower meant to mimic the effect of death. So, okay. I hope it will be enough. It has to be enough. I sneak down the alley behind Dr. Finkelstein's lab, black shoes making the softest sound against the stone when I hear the Sandman humming song, sounding closer than before. A slow, ghostly lullaby vibrating down the darkened streets, silently, breath held in my lin, linen chest. I sink along the permin, perimeter of town, pausing beside the witch sister's apothecary, listening. A second passes, and another. I crush the herbs in my hands, trying not to make a sound, but the Sandman has fallen quiet. Perhaps he's moved to the far edge of town, searching the woods. I step into the open, ready to dart the last few yards to the gate and into our house when a shadow flashes overhead, dark and horrible. Him. I nearly drop the herbs, scramble back out of sight, back pressed to the stone wall, needles stabbing at my gut, the fear waving up and down every inch of my threaded seams. But after a moment, the Sandman's shadow slips past the alleyway and moves further back into town, into the darkness. He didn't see me, and this is my chance. I push myself away from the wall and sprint the last several yards to the gate, taking the steps two at a time, scrambling up to our house. Inside, I yank the door closed and slide the lock in place, gasping, my lungs screaming in my chest, ears ringing. I made it. I climbed the spiral staircase to our room, clenching the herbs in one hand, the threads along my chest humming, fingers trembling, and when I step into the bedroom, I find Jack right where I left him, asleep in our bed. Tears travel down my face. He's still here, and he's still asleep. I step further into the room, about to cross to about to cross to the bed when a shadow slips out from the closet, a deep growling echo across the room. Zero darts into the faint moonlight cast through the windows, his teeth bare, a rumble in his chest, ready to protect Jack no matter what. But when he sees me, his ears suddenly drop, and he rushes towards me, burying his head against my chest. I'm okay, I whisper into his fur, folding my arms around him. I made it back. I He makes a whimpering sound, nudging me close to my neck, nuzzling close to my neck. Thank you for staying behind, I say to him, for watching Jack. Tears fall down from my chin. I'm unable to hold them back. I felt so alone since leaving Halloween Town, and now being back in my house, no, back in my home, my bedroom, and finding Zero still awake has broken open a part of me. I felt a strange relief woven together with the nudging prick of fear. Zero darts back from me, his dog eyes damp at the corners, and I stroke my hand down his fur one last time before I hurry across the room to Jack. I drop the herbs onto the nightstand and climb into the quiet quite beside him, our bodies heaving, my eyes burning with tears, and I rest my head against his chest, listening to the hollowed echoes. I close my eyes, and for a moment I wish I was asleep just like him, lying side by side, each trapped in our dreamless darkness. But Zero moves close and nudges his nose against my cheek, eyes blinking. Maybe he knows I can't stay here. I can't coil myself up with Jack and rest. I have to keep moving. The longer I stay in one spot, the more likely the Sandman will discover me. I run my fingertips along Jack's cheekbone. I'm going to try, I whisper, even though he can't hear me, and I place my mouth on his, kissing his sleeping lips. I'll make this right. Seriously, he's a skeleton. He doesn't have lips, Sally. I'm sorry. You're kissing his teeth. Using a bit of string from the spool in my pocket, I tie my hair back into a ponytail out of the way while I work then hurry back downstairs to the kitchen. I retrieve a cast iron pot from the hook above the sink and light a fire. Working quickly, I grind up the herbs, then place them into the, if I can get the page to turn, into the pot, measuring 3 times then the usual amount. Measuring 3 times the usual amount, it's enough to put a woodland giant to sleep for an entire year, but I need it to be strong, or it will only get one chance for this to work. I'm sorry, if they're asleep for a year, that's not sleeping, that's a coma. Whatever. I stir the simmering potion until it turns bright gruesome red, the same shade as Ruby Valentino's lips, but it's too bright, too obvious. Then I remember. I reach into my pocket of my dress, past the spool of thread, to the thing I'm looking for. When I pull out, the leaves are slightly flattened, but it's still, in fact, the 4-leaf clover given to me by the leprechaun in St. Patrick's Town. He said it would bring me luck. I need it now. I drop the green clover into the potion, and within seconds the color turns a vibrant grassy green, reminding me of the damp meadow in St. Patrick's Town. Fresh dew and with rain, the exact shade I need. Once the brew has boiled down and the scent is so rich and noxious that I feel lightheaded, I pour it into a glass jar, stoppering it with a cork. The potion is ready. Now to make the decoy. Okay. Back in our bedroom, I pulled out the old sewing machine from the closet and gathered the yards of fabric that the vampire princes and witch sisters brought over for my absurd, queenly, worn, weird robe. I wanted to be rid of it all, hated the feeling that gushered fabric pinned to my flesh, but now it'll be useful. I tear out old strips of fabric, then begin sewing them together, pinching my tongue between my teeth while I work, stitching 6 patchwork dresses that look just like my own, 6 pairs of arms and legs, 6 faces and torsos, and work through the night sweating at my temples, fingers worked raw. And when the sun finally breaks over the horizon, striking a soft, dreamy orange through the window, I stand from the sewing machine to survey my work. Zero hovers beside me as his head tilted curiously to one side. Across the wooden table lie 6 lifeless rag dolls, each wearing a patchwork dress. Okay. With the sun now sitting flat and bright in the sky, there are fewer shadowed places to hide, but I sink through town, tiptoeing quietly along the street, then pausing at each corner, listening for the Sandman. I can hear him in the distance, never far away, but I need to keep moving. I told Zero to stay at the house with Jack, and now I skirt along the edge of town square, stopping at the position the first doll in the doorway of the Witch Sisters Apothecary, suspended by string from the doorframe so the wind catches it slightly, stirring the doll's arms and legs through its as though it's alive. A decoy. I'm pretty sure we already figured that out, Sally. You didn't need to tell us. You're ninjaing this stuff, but we get it. I hurry to the outer borders of town, stringing 3 more beneath the bare branches of the spining hollow trees, magpies cawing at me from the limbs, making too much noise. Once secure, I drag the 2 dolls towards the center of town. There are fewer shadows here to hide beneath the sun's glaring down bright above from above, but I'm managed to hang one of the decoys in the massive spider web on the east side of town square, suspended between 2 buildings, the fake doll's arms clinging to the sticky web. Briefly, the Black Widow scrambles down from her hiding perch, investigating the lifeless doll. She's it over it. Eyelids, eyes like dims, then deciding there's no blood to be drawn from a fake doll, she hurries back up to her corner, tucked safely away where she won't be seen. Dragging the 6th and final doll across the town square when I hear the Sandman's lullaby, but it's different this time, slower, a tiptoe over each rhymed word, and I realize he's located the first doll hanging from the howling tree. He thinks he's found me. There is a sudden quiet, a lull in his song, followed by a shifting, wrestling. I can't see him behind the row of black stone buildings, but I suspect he's blowing sand into the fake doll's eyes, hoping she'll fall into a bottomless sleep. Another moment of quiet, no lullaby, no humming, and then the echoing crackling of branches like he's ripped the doll from the tree and tosses it onto the ground. His song resumes, followed again by silence. He's found another doll. I need to hurry. I reach the town hall and place the last doll on the steps, bending her leg at the knee and folding her arms in her lap to make her appear as though she's quietly enjoying the late morning sunlight while the mayor snores beside her. The sound of more snapping of branches echo through the town, the cracking and splintering of wood. He's found the other two dolls. With my leaves trembling in my chest, I hurry back towards the fountain. I am almost to it when from the corner of my vision I catch sight of the Sandman, cloud-tinted robes dragging along the streets, gray whispering beard longer than I remember, and coiled, awful looking in the dark-rimmed eyes. He rounds the corner near the Witch Sister's apothecary. A slow, windy hiss leaves his lips. I drop to the ground. The jar, the jar of potion, nearly slipping free from my pocket of my dress. If the jar breaks and spills the noxious potion at my feet, the fumes might be enough to knock me into a deathly sleep forever. Carefully, I slide the jar back into my pocket, then scramble beside the low brick wall that encircles the town center. It's hardly a hiding spot, but I try to make myself small, coiled into a ball, just a lump of fabric, nothing more. She is being a ninja right now. Like, seriously, look that up. That is actually a ninja technique. I'm not even joking right now. The Sandman spots the fourth decoy in the doorway of the Witch Sister's shop and quickly blows a handful of sand into its eyes. But the doll just hangs there, moving gently in the morning breeze. I can see the irritation cut along his forehead, and he rips the doll from the doorway, pulling off its stuffed cotton head and throws it onto the ground. He grabs the limp body by one foot and drags it several yards until he notices the fifth doll suspended by the spider web. He drops the headless doll and darts towards the web, but he doesn't blow sand into its eyes. He stares at it suspectively, drifting closer to touch one of the rag doll's hands. His mouth seems to lift into a snarl, and he lets the doll's hand fall back into place. He knows it's a fake. He's seen through the trick, and he rips it free from the web, breaking several of the spider's carefully strands, then throws it onto the ground. I waited too long. I should have sprinted to the fountain when I heard him at the howling tree. I should have made more decoys, but it's too late now. The Sandman turns, scanning the town square, moving slowly like he senses he's being watched. Something isn't quite right. He spots the last fake Sally perched on the steps of Town Hall, and he begins moving towards it, but not with the urgency he did when he spotted the others. His gaze darts to his left, the right, and I have to sink further into the narrow shadows where I'm hiding. Tucking my arms and legs close, if he finds me, if he can't put me to sleep like the fake dolls because of his dream sand won't work on me, will he rip my head off just like the decoys, popping seams and breaking threads, and my head is no longer attached to my body? I have to stop right there. Will that actually kill her? Because I don't think it will. She is just a rag doll. And even Jack can take off his head, remember? When he's within a few yards of the last doll, I sink 1 foot. Sink 1 foot out of the shadows, then the other, and I risk stepping into the sunlight. I have to do this quickly, or not at all. My heart is slamming and my throat dry. My heart is a sledgehammer, my throat dry. Then the Sandman bends down to examine the fake doll. He pokes it with his white fingertip suspectedly. No, it's suspicious. This is my chance. I sprint across the open square between the low stone wall and the fountain. The sun glares down at me. The air is quiet. My footsteps too loud. Everything moving in awful slow motion. At the fountain, I collapse down against the stone edge, my breath ragged, and in my chest, a rasp and I wheeze. A rasp and I wheeze. Maybe if I'm lucky, I made it without being seen. I peer over the edge of the fountain and see the Sandman still hunched over the last rag doll, and I only have a second or two before he tears it apart and comes looking for the real doll, me. I remove the cork from the top of the jar, the scent so dreadful that my nose pluck pluckers puckers, and I turn my face away, not wanting to breathe it in. I reach my arm over the edge of the fountain and pour the clover green potion into the water. It makes a swirling, bubbling sound as the mixture with the already green water, the color blending in perfectly, just as I'd hoped. The air is briefly pungent with the scent before it darts away on the wind, and I place the cork back into the bottle, taking in a deep breath. Now I just need to lure the Sandman across the town square. I will climb atop the edge of the fountain, wave my arms and shout, and when he races towards me at the last final moment, I will jump out of the way and he will plummet into the fountain. Simple as that. Easy. Okay. I peek above the stone edge, looking across the town square. The Sally doll is just as I left her, resting on the steps, undisturbed. No threads snapped in half, no arms torn free. But the Sandman is gone. A creeping, slithering sense inches its way down my neck. The feeling of being watched. I whip around, suck in a breath, and there, only a few yards away, hovering just above the ground, is the Sandman. He's right behind me, staring down at me, and there's nowhere to go. My head pounds, the breath stuck at the top of my throat. This isn't how it was supposed to go. His eyes are flat and dark, a width of sand grasping tightly in his fist. He is no longer humming his lullabies, no longer trying to lure me out with pleasant words. He's been searching for me, has seen through my... Oh, he's been searching for me. has seen through my trick and now has found me. He's found me. There is a sharp edge, steeliness in his gaze, a fury that won't be easily satisfied. Simply stealing my dreams might not be enough for him now. Stealing my dreams might not, stealing my dreams might not be enough for him now. Okay, whatever. He will want me to suffer. He will want to tear me apart and pull out my stuffing by the clumps. Hearing every thread snap, every seam peel open. I take a step back, my heel hitting the edge of the fountain. He moves closer, slowly, cautiously. He doesn't trust me, and when he's only a foot away, he sneers down at me. Tricky girl, his words and his voice still a sing-song. Thick gray eyebrows drawing up onto his forehead. You pretend you are a rag doll. Make-believe fabric and string. You pretend you are a rag doll maker. Rag doll make-believe. Okay, that makes no sense, but I can't rhyme. He squints at me like it's hard for him to find the words, like he's not used to speaking in anything other than rhymes and song. Where have you been hiding? He asks. You don't know that I went to his house. He doesn't know I went to his home in Dreamtown, that I ventured through the human world, or that I'm immune to his dream sand, but his dream sand. Still, I swallow and lean away from him, but he's too close now. Muted white robes brushing the cobblestone, draping across him like wet curtains, and I have no way to force him into the fountain. I had felt so certain this would work that I could save everyone, even the human world. But at the moment is slipping away. The element of surprise lost. His eyes glimmering an awful pale white. His hair stuck up from his head, shy and wild. His beard long and wispy and tangled. I gulp down a breath, meeting the anger in his eyes, but my heart is beating like bones shaking loose from my rib cage, and my legs want to collapse beneath me. He lifts his hands towards me, opening his palm, dream sand spilling between his fingers like waterfalls. He draws in a long, full breath, cheeks puffing full like the moon. Then he exhales in a sudden gust like a northern wind. I don't flinch back. I don't blink. I let the sand envelop me in a cloud, dusting my nose and cheeks and eyelashes. I breathe it in, unafraid, and for one quick second, I wonder if my parents were wrong. Perhaps the sand will work on me. I spent much of my life outside Dreamtown, and maybe I'm not immune as I once might have been, and the sand will send me into a fathomless depth sleep, unwaking for eternity. But as the sand falls on the ground around me, like grains sinking into the stone cracks, I blink and look up at the Sandman unaffected, still awake. His expression has gone slack with confusion. I'm not pretending to be anyone. I say to him, I'm Sally Skellington, the Pumpkin Queen. There is warmth in my chest now, heat and fury and anger. But I was born in Dreamtown. The words feel like their own conjuring a spell, a ritual or bedtime riddle to cast things into into the stars and make them true. I feel suddenly awake and alive, a woman who wasn't simply a rag doll, but a ruler who has traveled to all the realms, even the human world, to set things right, who feels a spark of wrath growing inside her. The Sandman's mouth turns into a deep, bewildered frown, eyes narrow on me as if he's unsure whether this is another trick, if I might be just another fake doll like the others, but this is no reuse or use. Whatever. I am the queen of this realm, and I won't let this monster take away everything I love. Behind the Sandman, a shadow slips through the air, quick and quiet, and I stiffen my shoulders back, knowing I am the queen you won't be able to put to sleep. I say to him, my mouth gone flat, thinking of the human queen I met in the library. I suck in another breath, bracing myself. The shadow moves closer, racing towards the Sandman. Zero. I told him to stay with Jack, but he came anyway. Maybe he sensed something wasn't right. That I was in danger. Maybe he's been following me all this time. I clench my teeth, trained on. Oh, I clench my teeth, eyes trained on the Sandman. I am the queen who's going to stop you. Zero closes the gap. 10 feet, 8, 3, 1. I pinch, my eyes close, and launch myself out of the way, tumbling across the cobblestone, feeling several threads pop at impact, breaking apart, my leaves rising up to my nose, but I jerk my head around just in time to see the Sandman, his eyes gone as wide as puddle, pale stone right before Zero barrels into his back. The Sandman tumbles forward, off balance, and pitches head first into the fountain. Water erupting over the side of the fountain, like when Corpse Kid does one of his lopsided cannonballs. And in an instant, the Sandman disappears into the deep, deep water. I hold a breath, watching, waiting. Zero racing to my side, whimpering, nosing me in the cheek. I'm okay, I tell him, nodding. Thank you. He saved me. I lay a hand against his neck, feeling the ghostly warmth beneath my palm, and I'm about to let out a long relieved exhale when the water suddenly rises up over the edge fountain like a great swelling wave crashing and dispelling dispelling. The Sandman appears, hair and beard soaking wet, white robes now stained green, and still awake. The potion didn't work. It wasn't strong enough. Maybe if I had let it steep longer, if I had added more deadly nightshade. The Sandman claws towards the edge of the fountain. He eyes me, mumbling something, a lullaby, a string of words that are unintelligible. I gulp and scramble back, trying to pull myself up, but my feet keep slipping under me. Yes, slipping under me. Panic screams from my chest. I need to run, but where will I go? Into the woods to hide from him? For how long? Forever? I imagine I managed to get to my feet to follow Zero, who is already fleeting away, about to flee past the gate into the woods. The Sandman's eyes flutter briefly. He mutters something else. Something else. Words I can't make out. Run, run, run. My mind yells, but something keeps me rooted on the ground. A curiosity, a feeling that, and I watch the Sandman's eyes shutter, close again, and then open, open, close. Yeah. He makes it to the edge of the fountain, arms slung over the edge, trying to pull himself free, but it's no use. The potion was strong enough. Carefully, I take a step closer to him and smile, inching up to the corners of my mouth. He tries to speak one final time, but no sound comes out, only a muttering exhale, and after one last slow blink, he collapses again. The stone edge of the fountain. He collapses against the stone edge of the fountain. The Sandman is fully, impossibly dead asleep. Okay, and that was chapter 17. That was quite the ride. We will pick back up at a later date. Please like, share, subscribe, leave a comment.